contributor here today. I have I have been in the helping profession of counseling and therapy for about 25 years, and it's a pleasure to be with you today to talk about positive mental health, the importance of counseling, and implications for abuse.
Okay. Thank you so very much for accepting my offer to be here.
You are welcome.
Okay. And I know you have a wealth of information for our audience. So, again, I will allow you to begin. So,
Okay.
everybody, again, we're encouraging you to call in, or if you have your comments, you direct it at Mr. Ulan here. Facebook, so you could listen in Facebook, YouTube. All right. So make sure you tune in and listen in, call in as well. Thank you. Go ahead over to you, Mr.
Yes,
Centris.
thank you again. We're talking about mental health, positive mental health. So we do definitions. What is mental health? Now, mental health, as a definition, is our state of well being and intellectual functioning on a continuum of orderly functioning to disorderly functioning. Positive mental health is not on that continuum by itself or on a separate continuum. There is a merging of wellness with impairment, healthy or unhealthy. Let me see if I can explain that a little further.
In layman terms.
On the continuum of life, let's say from 1 to 10, everybody who's well and everybody who's unwell, or everybody who has a mental challenge or mental illness, is on that same continuum of 1 to 10. It's not that well people, what we may consider as well individuals, are on a continuum by themselves, 1 to 8, and then unhealthy individuals who are showing signs of pathology are on another continuum, 1 to 9. No, everybody is on the same continuum, 1 to 10, and we're using 1 and 10 as arbitrary numbers. So everybody is on that continuum. At some point on that continuum, you're going to have a merger. Unhealthiness is going to merge with what we consider to be healthiness. So as you move on the continuum, again, we are using 1 through 10 as arbitrary numbers. Of 1 through 10, every human being is somewhere on that 1 to 10, getting scores of 1 or 8 or 7 or whatever. Somewhere on that continuum is a division where we in the helping profession say, this is where wellness is. So we will probably say wellness is 1 through 5 or 1 through 6 or 1 through 4. And it goes without saying that everything else, if you fall on the other side of the continuum, then we would say that there is a struggle with mental health, more specifically positive mental health. Now, when we talk about mental health, we're talking about uh, again a positive state of mental alertness, self-differentiation, capability, nothing that impairs your functioning. And when we talk about negative mental health or mental illness, we're talking about a functionality that is impaired. So the judgment is not great. The decision making is not great. Anger management is not great. You see, grown individuals don't really know how to manage anger, for example. They resort to violence in order to deal with anger issues and so on. So at the end of the day, what we have to understand fundamentally as we begin this presentation is that all of us are on the same continuum, let's say 1 through 10. And on that continuum, there is a number, again, another arbitrary number, let's say 5, where we say if you are 1 through 5, you are mentally well, mentally capable, you're not impaired. But if you are 6 to 10, then you have some mental health challenges. Okay. So positive mental health is when we are well differentiated, like I said, and functioning on the non-impairing side of the continuum. On the continuum of 1 through 10, there is a functioning, well differentiated capability, and then there is an impairing capability. When we are impaired psychologically, we are not able to see clearly. Our vision of self becomes strange. Our vision of others becomes strange, and our vision of the world becomes strange. So that model is from one of the greatest behavioral psychologists named Beck, where he talks about everybody who suffers with major depression has a distorted view of self, others, and the world. So at the end of the day, what we need to focus on is that we are mentally well, we are mentally sound, we are mentally capable, and we are not impaired by any kind of psychological disorder that causes us to not function well. Are you going to have questions at some
Okay.
point?
Yes.
Sure.
Actually, I wanted to ask, since you said um, persons who are well from 1 to 5 and so on. So I just wanted to find out if, for example, somebody is considered to have positive mental health
Mhm.
and they fall within the lines of 1 to 5.
Mhm.
At some points, we know there is what we call like a nervous breakdown. And further on, somebody who has a nervous breakdown will be termed as this person has a mental illness.
Mhm.
So, can somebody who is considered with a positive mental health be later on down the line be considered to have a negative mental health?
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. We don't have a lock and key on mental health. So I mean, sometimes we see people who abuse drugs and they become what we call derogatorily, which is not even great. We call them zombies and all the other names we call people, which we really shouldn't. So you can have positive mental health today, and let's say at some point there is a social trigger, because some mental situations develop out of social triggers. Let's say there is a social trigger. There is a death of the in the family, a family member dies and you cannot handle it. There is a loss of a job. There is a divorce. There is a child who is killed. There is a severe, serious situation in the family process. These things affect you. And again, that's why we said initially you have to have a sound differentiation. You have to be well centered, because if you're not anchored when these things are happening, if you are not well anchored, it is very easy to move from a 5 to a 6 to a 7. And once you begin to move in the realm of what is considered to be impairing behavior or psychological disorders and things like that, life begins to change for you. One of the things I must say before I forget, before we run out of time, is that there is no cure for mental illness. There is no cure for mental illness. We can treat you in counseling, we can treat you in therapy, you can regain functionality, you can do much better with the help of maybe some drugs and some therapy. You can get back to functioning. But once you get a mental illness, it does not cure.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Also, I wanted to ask, or rather, yes, ask, would you agree that positive mental health would be somewhat like exercising, that you have to do it all the time to keep this positive mental health, that you have to practice good behaviors, certain behaviors that would keep your good mental health? Yes, I do understand that there would be traumas that would trigger your mental health, but of course, with you being grounded on maybe practicing good mental health habits, it would put you in a better stand to withstand whatever trauma, and maybe you now would stand a better chance of not going too deep within that traumatic situation. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you're not wrong. You're
Yes.
absolutely correct.
Yes.
In therapy, one of the things we care about, even in medicine too, before, at least in the U.S., before a patient is released from the hospital, you have what they call the interdisciplinary team meeting, where you have the social worker, the dietitian, the chaplain, the doctor, the nurse. Everybody comes together to making sure that this patient has a social network that would enhance their strength, their capabilities. Because I mean, we see it all the time in the suicide literature, that people go to a psychiatric clinic and they do better and they are discharged, and they still kill themselves or they
Yeah.
kill somebody else because they don't have the social network to keep them grounded. The same thing is true in medicine. Before you are released from the hospital, the team makes sure that you have a system, a social system, a social network, social support that can help you. The same thing is true relative to what you said. People who practice good, positive mental health behaviors. You exercise, you have friends, you can speak your mind, you don't carry the weight of the world inside of you for 20 years and one day you just explode. You practice good mental health behavior, eating well, hydrating, sleeping well, sleeping on time, giving your body the opportunity to rest and to reactivate itself, and to think positive thoughts, to have good people in your space, in your living spaces, in your workspaces, in your community spaces, and so on. So these things help you get stronger when a social crisis hits you. People who don't have social support tend to become loners in the world. They get triggered easily and they fall off the cliff. What we are talking about here this morning are things we can do to not fall off the cliff.
Right on. And I'm hoping that people are really listening, as this is very important information
Sure.
to help us.
Yes.
Yes, so you
One of the
continue.
other things we also want to talk about is the importance of counseling. Now, I know here in St. Lucia and in many other places, we have mixed feelings about counseling. Someone says, am I going to talk to somebody and tell them my
My
business?
business,
Well, yeah,
yes.
if you can manage your business, you probably talk to somebody else who doesn't have a bias against you, who can give you great advice. Professional counseling helps when the individuals are, again, the word professional suggests they are qualified to do what they do. What they do, they give you options, they give you alternatives, they redirect you, they help you see what it is you are seeing that is so humongous in the world. In my experience, I have met people who have spoken with me and they are seeing something that nobody else is seeing. Something is always so extravagantly bad. Something is so bad, the world is coming to an end. And when you really talk through it and you talk to them, they say, "Oh well, it can be managed. It's not that bad." So if you have a distorted view of what's happening around you, what's happening in your space, what's happening even within you, then you're going to have a distorted reaction to it. This is why it is so important for us to my host has said, to practice positive mental health behavior because they will pay dividends when you least expect. The decision to get into a fight or not get into a fight, that's mental health. If you have a solid mental health perspective of yourself, if somebody calls you a name, you are not going to think of punching them first reaction. You'll say, man, okay, let me just keep walking. That's a positive behavior. You get into a fight, that's negative behavior. Now, one other thing I wanted to say quickly is that if you are feeling a little stressed, that doesn't mean you are mentally ill. Because we want to always make that statement because people can get the impression that we are saying if you are under some pressure, if you have some social stress, or you are mentally ill. No, that's not what constitutes mental illness. Mental illness is a very professional term that is defined in what we call in our profession the Bible for psychologists and counselors, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. You have to meet a certain criteria. The behavior has to happen for a certain period of time for it to be classified as a mental illness. So if you are stressed, you're not sure how you're going to pay the bills next month, that doesn't mean you are mentally ill. If your child is sick and you don't have money to go to the doctor and you are stressed, you cannot sleep well, that doesn't mean you are mentally ill. Now, these things can progress negatively if you don't curb them, if you don't stop them. But the idea that I have a stressor, my child just failed an exam and I'm not feeling good, I've not eaten 2 meals, that doesn't mean you are mentally ill. It means you are under stress. But the responsible thing to do is to manage that. And if you see you are not managing it well, that's when you talk to a professional. You talk to somebody who can help you, give you some options, some alternatives, so that you can emerge from the state of X to the state of Y.
Thank you for that. Well said. Back to you said about counseling. And I'm happy that you said that many people think, okay, why would I want to go and tell people my business? And of course, I've encouraged persons to come in to speak out. With counseling, and I'm happy you said that, okay, somebody comes in and feels that the problem is the biggest problem and this problem cannot be solved and everything is going wrong. And towards the end of the counseling, they said, okay, I think I can manage. Could you maybe give us an idea of maybe a success story or how counseling has positively impacted someone? And also, I want you to tell us your the persons who come in for counseling. Do you have a larger population of men or ladies? Go ahead.
Okay, good question. Two very good questions. So let's handle them quickly.
Yeah.
Let's take the last one first. Whom have I seen the most? I have seen more women than men. I did a lot of family therapy, so I saw a lot of couples as well. Men are usually reluctant to go to counseling, and that's an ego thing that we need to get rid of. Because when you are speaking to a professional who can help you, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. It's similar to going to the doctor. You go to the doctor if you're not well, you will tell the doctor that you have a headache or a footache or a backache, whatever is wrong with you, and the doctor will try his best to help you, try to give you medication that will give you relief. The same thing happens in counseling. In counseling, we are not there to judge you. We don't judge people in counseling. We hear the situation. If it's family counseling, we hear from both parties. Or if it's individual counseling, we hear from the individual and we try to redirect, we try to intervene, we try to lend support, we try to give perspectives to help that person see that there are other ways of handling and managing the situation. One of the things that land people into the realm of mental health and stuff like that is because people get to places where they're stuck. They don't know what to do, but there is a little bit too much pride, too much ego to ask someone to help you.
Yep.
I am a grown man and I drive in America and I get lost sometimes. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily know the direction, but every now and then you find somebody who tells you, oh, you're on the wrong path. It's the other road down the place, or whatever the case may be. We need to get rid of the ego and the pride that makes us think we are Hercules. That's a mythical figure. That's not a real thing. You know Hercules. You are a human being with pain, with stress, with sorrows, with gladness, with joy. It doesn't matter how much education you have. It doesn't matter what job you hold. It doesn't matter where you work. It doesn't matter what you think of yourself. You are just another human being in the world. And everything that happens to one person can happen to another person. We all can have these difficult situations, divorces, death, loss of job, children failing, children acting out, children going to prison. We all have those situations that can trigger us and push us toward the realm of mental illness. And we have to have the foundation, the network, the structure to make sure that doesn't happen to us. And what I'm saying to us is that professional counselors are part of that structure. Family is part of that structure. Good friends who know what they're talking about are part of that structure. So it's a multi-legged, multi-pronged structure, and the more components, the stronger the components, the better, and the more components, the better.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So you were telling us that, of course, and I'm happy you said it, that it's an ego thing with men. And I'm happy you said again that, yes, Ellen, they have the big egos. And I'm happy you said that nobody is Hercules. Because, yes, we know that men are the head of the family. Men are supposed to be the heroes, and men, they almost like the Hercules of the family, but they're
Sure.
not. So I'm happy you're saying it, because men seem to think, okay, I am supposed to handle everything, so I am going to handle everything. And if I don't handle everything, that makes me look weak, and that makes me look, I'm not capable of taking care of my family, or capable of taking care of stuff. So I'm happy to hear you say that. And of course, we need to encourage men to come in to do their counseling, because a lot of situations, I'm not trying to generalize here, but if we look at the crime rate and the crime situation, we have a lot more males
Mhm.
involved than
Sure.
females. Yeah,
One of the things we ought to pay attention to is that we've been taught wrongly.
definitely we have.
Um, in all my years of doing counseling and therapy, the ugliest scene that I have seen is when a man cries in my office. And the reason for that is because we don't cry. and we don't even know how to cry.
So why would you say it's
So,
the
so,
ugliest
oh, it
thing?
is. I have seen some men cry. You want to run out of the room. It's just awful. But women come, they cry, and they have the paper napkin or whatever tissue, and they dab the tears as it's coming down their eyes, and they're good to go.
Yeah.
Because crying is therapeutic,
Yes, it
and
is.
and women know how to do that better than men. What women, not WOMEN, but WEMEN, women don't understand. We fellas, thank you, sir. Well, that's pretty good. What we fellas don't understand is that sometimes your strength is manifested more in weakness, or what may appear to be weakness. So,
Expound on that.
yes. So you have a situation and you think you can handle it, but it's been beating you for the past 2 weeks. And you say, well, boy, if I go to speak to somebody, they'll think I'm weak. Magie. They'll think I'm weak. And then you stay with the situation and it blows out of control. Whereas the other guy says, I've been working with this for 2 weeks. I'm going to show my vulnerability. I'm going to show my weakness. Let me go speak to the social worker. Let me go speak to human services. Let me go speak to somebody. And I know I'm going to appear weak, but they may say something there that can help me. Sometimes your strength is made manifest more in weakness. Men don't like being vulnerable.
So
Men want to be in control, like you said, in charge, and I'm the head of this, I'm the head of that, I'm responsible for this. But vulnerability is not a bad thing. Vulnerability says you are a human being. That's all it says. You are a human being with the same frailties, the same weaknesses, the same challenges. We all need more money. We all need better employment conditions. We all need our children to do better. We all need our partners and our spouses to do better. So we are just another human being. Now, some of us are fortunate. We have circumstances that are a little better than other people. But that still does not absolve you. If you are a human being in the neighborhood where human beings live, there is pain, there is stress, there is death, there is challenge, there is difficulty. There are days and nights when you're going to cry. There are mornings you're going to wake up and you have to resolve to take the bull of life by its horn and do whatever it is you can do to making sure that your circumstance gets better. Because if you are stuck, it looks like you're not going backward, but you're not also not going forward. Guess what? Because time doesn't wait for you, you're actually going backward because time will leave you behind.
definitely.
So you are going backward even when you don't think you're going backward.
Sure.
We just need to make sure we have positive mental health, whether we are men, women, young people. And we parents, we have to make sure that our children understand what is positive mental health from the very start. And we are providing them with a safe environment where they can develop into that holistic view and concept of positive mental health. Because it's children that become adults,
It
right?
does,
And a
definitely.
lot of the things you see adults do today, they didn't just start. The root, if you look at the root of this obnoxious and mentally ill behavior, you can trace it all the way back to the family and to growing up.
Almost what you
Yeah.
see. Sometimes you see the children are a product of the environment.
Sure.
What is
They
happening?
are a product of the
Yes.
environment, you know. Um, that, like I just said just now, our goal must be to foster environments that are conducive to positive
Definitely.
mental health. So if you want your child to grow up to be a decent human being, don't call him a dog. You call him a dog, one of these days he's going to bark at you and he's going to bite you. Don't
Definitely.
call him a dog. Don't call him a loser. Those, this is now, we are now in the realm of verbal abuse. Don't call him a loser. Sit your child down. If the house is yours, you should be able to sit your child down and talk to your child. You don't
Definitely.
have to resort to these derogatory, later to be self-fulfilling prophecies as you talk to your children. Give them the space to grow up and to grow up well, because these are the people, the individuals who will become adults tomorrow. And how you raise them today will determine what kind of adults they are tomorrow. Like I was saying on a different radio program sometime this week, most of us don't, when we walk down the street and we see an old lady or older lady with a bag on her side, most of us don't think of grabbing it. We say good morning and we move on.
Mm-hmm.
But the criminally minded young man, he doesn't care if she's 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care if she's 100. All he cares about is that she may have $10 in the
That
bag
bad that he.
that he wants, and he's going to be violent with her to get it. So that's what we need to focus on curbing, and by the grace of God, stop. Because if we can create a positive young generation, we are going to have a positive older generation.
Amen to that. Could not have said it better.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes.
We also needed to talk about healing a little
Yes.
bit.
And yes,
I know our time is
some
fast spent, but we need to talk about healing. We can heal. A lot of people think they have to carry the pain of decades with them. Right? Again, that's taking you into the realm of mentally ill behavior. We need to heal. If the body does not heal, the body is going to die because the
definitely.
body gets inflicted every day with things that make us sick. Right? Sometimes you get sick. I got sick about a week ago. I was sick for a while because we get sick. Bacteria, viruses, whatever you name it, situations, climate stuff, we get sick. Immune system. But we have to heal. When something bad happens to us, whether it be a divorce that you thought you were treated so unfairly, your partner was not fair, and you many days you felt like hurting him, hurting her. No, we don't do that kind of stuff. We try for our own sake to heal from that. It will take a while. It doesn't happen immediately, but time is going to be your friend. Time with support and with good positive mental health behavior, you can emerge, you can heal. There is nothing that has happened to you in your past that you cannot heal from. I have counseled individuals who were sexually abused, physically abused, abandoned, all kinds of stuff. And some of these individuals are thriving, flourishing, successful people today because they made up in their minds that nothing is going to pin them to 2010. That 2010 is part of an experience. They are going to go through it, and 2011 is going to be a new year. And they do the things that we suggest to them to do, get into positive environments, get good social support, networking, and things like that. And they heal. God made us in a way that we could heal.
Mhm.
Just imagine if all the crap that we take in our space that happens to us, the devastating things that so demoralize you that you don't even want to live anymore. Just imagine if all these things could happen to us and we could never heal from them, or we would be a bunch of zombies roaming the earth. But we
Definitely.
have the capacity to heal,
Mhm.
and we can heal from emotional disruptions. We can heal from financial challenges. We can heal and bring ourselves to a place of wellness. What we cannot do is to allow ourselves to progress further and further and further out into mental illness, and then we are impaired. Somebody tells you 6, you say 9. Somebody tells you good morning, you say good night, because you are so off, you cannot even engage with what is normal anymore.
That is so true. Um, when I have spoken to persons and I've said to them, you need to let go.
Mhm.
Let go. Allow yourself to heal. Tell yourself that I am going to heal. You need to let go. And one of the very concerning things I've been told is that um as much as I agree with it, my past would dictate my future to some extent, but they keep holding on to that hurt and to whatever happened to them in the past and say, that will let me go forward in the sense of I will know better. It will allow me to do better, or it will allow me to know what to do. But this is like bringing you down, like you're in the ocean with a block, bringing you
Wait.
down. Okay, this concrete blocks, yes, bringing you down the weights. So then persons need to let go, and this is exactly what you're saying here. And in St. Lucia, well, I have dealt with St. Lucians, and especially like, again, I don't mean to be targeting men, Olan, but it is the truth that you speak to a lot of them and they'll be like, this happened and that happened, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing that happened, and the behavior is like around everything that happened to them and what is going on around them. and that should not be. And there is this word which you rightly said, resiliency. And we have to be a resilient people for us to go forward.
Sure. My past informs my future, but it should never dictate it.
Exactly.
Never. Your past should never. Think about this for a minute. Most of us who grew up in St. Lucia, most of us, we grew up poor. We didn't have a lot of luxurious things. But a lot of us decided that we want a little more than that, and we went to school against odds. We didn't have money, but we found a way to go to school, to grow, to get a profession, so that we can get a paycheck too, like most people, most successful people, and we do. Your past should inform you. When you look at your past and you see, man, I really grew up poor, that should place something in your heart to help others who are growing up poor.
Yes.
So there are so many benefits to using the past as a classroom, but you cannot use it as your master. One of the reasons why a lot of people don't like to let go. Now, some people don't know how to do it, but there are those who know how. But here's what it does for us: it keeps us angry. You do something to me, I resent you, I hate you, I cannot stand you. The day I begin to stop myself from being that angry, I kind of give up on the language of I hate her so much, I cannot stand her. So human beings always want revenge. And one of the things we do is that we do remain angry for years. Years come and go. We are still angry over something that happened in 2002 because it keeps us angry up to now. And when it keeps us angry, it makes us even. When we see that person, we feel like jumping on them because we have and sometimes the person has regretted,
Yeah.
especially in families. When we hurt our family members, I don't care who you are, there is something that hits you right here. And nobody has to tell you about it. You just know, God, I hurt my wife. God, I hurt my husband, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my child. And you, while you were there trying to think of how to not do that again, the person still hates you. You say good morning to them as an initial way of reconciling the situation. Don't talk to me. And that anger thing, we have to manage that and
That
keep
is
that
so
in
true.
perspective, because we don't want to let go because it keeps us angry. And when it keeps us angry, we feel we have the right to be mad at that person. We have to flush ourselves from all that junk. In counseling, I use the metaphor of the kitchen sink. You peel off your chicken skin, you drop it in your trash can under the kitchen
Yeah.
sink. You peel your onion, you peel your yam, you keep putting it and you close it. But if you don't empty it,
Empty your garbage.
it's going to mess up your house and mess up your life. You have to empty it. The garbage we take in through our filters, through our space, living spaces, working spaces, community spaces, we have to flush that out. We have to empty that garbage can in order for it to not mess up the house.
Very well said. Because certain times you would hear a person say, Gassa, you're speaking to that man still after all that man do to you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to hear you say that, and I'm hoping that the audience, you were taking notes and you were listening.
Some person have a hard time flushing them things out there, like you say, peeling it,
Yeah.
like you know, getting rid of it, because of course that's that. You can be years being bitter, that kind of toxic, but
Yes.
Bitterness will never help you. It may help you initially where you bitter, you want blood, but after a week or two, a month or two, a year or two, that bitterness turns into toxicity. And here's the thing about us: we do not have the sophistication that when I am mad with you, and this morning I saw you and I begin to sweat and my heart rate goes up, and then I see her who didn't do anything to me. I do not have the sophistication to just zoom on you without zooming on her. So we have a problem with our children at home or with our wives. We go to work and we're about to insult people. Waj, ukapase waj, ukapase waj,
Yes.
to people who didn't do anything to
That
us.
is
So
so true.
the healing is important. We have to flush negativity, toxicity, pathology, impairment out of our lives and emerge to a place of wellness.
Well said. And again, you said that sometimes you cannot do it on your own. And this is why we have counselors, we have therapists who are there to assist. You cannot handle certain situations on your own, you cannot heal on your own. So, of course, just as you have a cut and you go to the doctor, just as you have the flu, you go to a doctor. Of course, if you have situations where you cannot heal from, you cannot move on from, the therapists are there as well. So, you should go to a therapist to assist you in moving forward, because nobody wants to be stuck in the past or stuck somewhere that would really, as you said, when somebody asks you 6 plus 6 or 6 and 3, then you start saying 1 or 2, right? So yes.
That's really bad.
Yes.
That's a bad place to be. So yes, we have individuals who can help you. And man, to the fellas out there, don't be so strong that you allow your life to die on you without getting some help. There are some things we can take care of by ourselves. There are something a friend can suggest. But when our situation is becoming unmanageable, get professional help. Go to somebody who's trained, who has the qualifications, who has the skills to help you, and you will get some help. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people in counseling, and of course, some are more disposed to healing than others, but it works. I know it works. I know it works. Yeah.
Thank you so very much for letting us know. And of course, I'd love that at least somebody would call in, although the time is almost up. Um, we have Mrs. St. Rose here, and along with us, although she's not part of our program, I have my colleague here, and I'd love for her to say hello to to the audience. For I want everybody to see social workers are out there, even though you may not hear us over the media or so on. We're out there in the communities, really working hard. And my colleague is here joining me this morning, and I'm so very grateful that the social worker for Viewfort, she's here with us. So I'd like her to come in to say
Hi,
hello
good
to
morning.
us. Hi, good morning. Don't be shy.
And people see your face, everybody can see
Yes. Say hi to our audience.
Hi, good day. I'm Liafo Emmanuel, family caseworker for the Viewfort region, and I'm happy to be in studio with Miss Bodymet this morning.
Thank you very much. And we work very hard to help.
that. She got it shy.
She's playing shy this morning. Thank you so very much again.
Yes.
And I'm wishing that we had some more time
Yeah.
so that we could go on, because I'm absolutely loving the discussion this morning, and I'm hoping that Mr. Centros, you could join us again.
I'll do my best.
Definitely. Is
Yes.
there anything you would like to say?
Yes, one last thing I wanted to
Yes.
say is that we didn't touch on it is abuse in many of its forms. We have, well, abuse essentially is something or someone you abusing, right? So you could be abusing drugs. We call that drug abuse. And then there is sexual abuse. Usually that's be an adult being the perpetrator and a minor. When we talk about sexual abuse, now there are elements of it with adults and adults, but primarily for adults and minors. Um, we have emotional abuse, and that happens to both minors and both adults, where people are denying people. For example, I know you like bottled water, but I go to the supermarket and I don't buy it on purpose so that I can hurt you. That's a form of emotional abuse. I speak to you, you don't answer me. um, I prepare a meal for you. You don't eat it on purpose just to hurt me. That's a form of emotional abuse. And then there is psychological abuse where we are playing mind games with people, and we are manipulating them, and we are giving them the impression that they are crazy when in essence we are the ones that are crazy. So we have psychological abuse. We have physical abuse. We know what that is: hitting, mistreating people, both minors and adults, can be physically abused. And then, of course, we have verbal abuse where where we say bad things, call people names, call them out of their names, just say the worst, vile, vulgar, crude things, defame their character, insult them. That's verbal abuse, and that can happen to both minors and adults. So this abuse thing is kind of a huge field in the profession of psychology and social work, and we have to be mindful that what we are demonstrating to our own children does not have these elements of abuse in it, where we are emotionally abusing people, psychologically abusing, verbally abusing, calling names, name calling, hitting people, and all that kind of stuff. We don't hit our children anymore. Hopefully, we can talk to them. And now I don't tell parents what to do, because in the profession we don't tell people what to do. But hopefully, if you brought a child into the world, you do not lose so much control that you have to take a piece of 2x4, piece of wire, you have to burn the child's finger, and all that kind of cruel things. We don't do that. Talk to your child, and if your child is not responding, call human services, call an agency, a helping agency, and get some help. But let's not get into this abusive behavior where we are doing painful and mischievous things to other people, and in the process we are also doing that to ourselves. It's great to have been here with you today. Thank you for the invitation, and I did enjoy the time that we shared together.
Indeed.
Yes.
And of course, I'm hoping that you could come back some other time.
To finish this topic.
We will definitely do
Yes.
it. We'll definitely do
Finish
it.
this topic.
All right. So I want to thank
Yes.
you very much. Thank you, everyone.